So, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to pick a paint color. I know a lot of you people dread coming into a paint store because the last thing you want to do is pick a paint color. There's probably 200 off-whites, several grays and greens you just don't want to deal with. So I've made notes. So if you see me looking down here, this is what I'm doing. I'm reading my notes. First of all, you really need a starting point. You need an inspiration. You need something to choose a color, whether it's a picture you're going to hang on the wall, an area rug with color in it, a throw pillow on the bed, drapes, something. You need a starting point. I've had so many people come in and say, I'm working with a blank slate. I want any color. And that's really the wrong way to go about doing it, because you're going to be doing one of three things. You're going to be picking a color, painting a room, and either, if you're lucky, finding a fabric to go with it, or you go out and you look for fabric and you can't find anything to go with the color that you've chosen, or you've painted the room, or you're repainting the room because you found this fabric that you have to have.
Well, I think one of the things that people don't realize is we have around 3,800 colors. Sometimes you go and especially furniture, and draperies and things, you're kind of limited sometimes there, what kind of color you can get. So they think, I have this blank slate, I can just paint it any color. And as you said, you really need a starting point from something else.
And even if they say, oh, it's a neutral color is all I want. Well, neutrals have undertones. If you've got grays, you've got a blue gray, you've got a purple gray, a green gray, a brown gray. And people get the blue gray and they paint their room and it's baby blue. If you go into a beige, you've got a pink beige, which a lot of people get and they don't realize there's a pink undertone to it. There's a green beige. There's a purple beige. I mean, there's just so many undertones to these that even if you have a neutral couch, you need to bring in the cushion. You need to see what color will go with that for that undertone. And it's just, I know it's frustrating on your end, but it is frustrating.
Well, it's not necessarily, it's not your grandmother's neutral anymore.
No, not antique white.
It's not antique white. I mean, there's so many choices and so many things are considered neutral now that maybe weren't 20
Well, even a green
years
is
ago.
Considered neutral.
Even a green, even a gray blue could be considered neutral. So,
right.
Yeah.
So there's no true neutral.
And the thing too about when people talk about having a blank slate and they come in and they see all these colors, you get a tendency to be overwhelmed.
Right.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to focus on an area when it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know there were so many choices.
So then I'll ask them, okay, what's your favorite color? And they'll do that. But okay, the one thing that really bothers me is when someone comes in and says, what's your most popular bathroom color? We don't have a popular bathroom color. We have a popular color. And I'll show it to them and they go, well, that won't work with my stuff. And I'm like, well, then it's not a favorite color for you. So you need to bring in bedding, pillows, anything you can to give us an idea of what you're looking for, what can go with something. Now, look at my notes. Painting is the first thing you do, but it's the last thing you pick. If you're remodeling a bathroom, you need to have your floor tile, your countertop, your vanity, everything needs to be picked, and then you pick the paint color.
Shower curtain towels.
Yeah, all that. Because we can tweak any color you want. But when you pick a color, that limits you to as the tile that you can have, the carpet you can have. So pick all the other things that you don't have a lot of options with, and then we pick the paint color. And it just...
A lot of times what happens too is if you don't have any idea of what kind of color you want to use, you may see a fabric. You might see it if you're painting a bathroom. You might see a shower curtain that you like, and then the color inspiration comes from that.
Right.
So,
yeah. So you need to go shopping first. Now, there have been times when people come in and go, well, I'm going to buy new furniture. I don't want to work around that. What do I do? I'll give them some colors that I think they might like or work with what they have. And I say, go to a furniture store. You might not be wanting to buy the furniture now, but at least look at the fabrics that are available and see what path you're going down. Like if you have a neutral with several different undertones, the fabric that you pick for your sofa might go with one undertone, and that's the route that we need to go. So you're going to have to do a lot of exploring, whether you go to a fabric store and see what they have, or go to a furniture store or a carpet store. You might not want to do that right now, but you've got to plan ahead. Then go ahead, pick the paint color, paint it, and then when it comes time to buy the furniture, you know you're not stuck with a color that's not workable.
Well, and also you talk about undertones, and a lot of people don't realize lighting in the room and everything. The flooring actually will affect the color also. Undertones are very subtle, but they are there.
But even
artificial lighting.
Right. So even if you pick a color here with fluorescent lighting, you still need to take the sample home. I had one woman come in and she wanted to buy a 5-gallon bucket of Revere pewter. And as I'm going back to mix it, this is a 5-gallon bucket, not a sample and not a gallon. She goes, "Can you show me what that looks like?" And I'm like, "Why are you buying a 5-gallon bucket if you have no idea what it looks like?" So I showed it to her. She goes, "Well, the painters are coming first thing in the morning." I'm like, "Well, they're going to have to do a lot of prep work. Why don't you take home a sample?" Took home a sample, realized it was too dark, so we went to Edgecombe Gray, which is a little bit lighter. But I would have felt so bad for her if she had settled on a color for a 5-gallon bucket that she didn't want.
Just because it looks good in somebody else's house.
Right. Someone told her to get it because it worked.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work with your lighting.
The other thing you need to consider is if you haven't painted in, say, 10 to 15 years and you want a fresh look and you're thinking about the grays and all that, you need to really consider your woodwork. Back then, probably Navajo white and linen white was our most popular colors, and they were very creamy. And if you go a light gray with that, it's going to make that trim look so dirty and dingy that you really need to go a more of a darker color to offset the trim, or you've got to repaint your trim a whiter color. So you need to take in consideration what your woodwork color is.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about that until after the fact.
And then they see. Yeah.
And, because painting walls, in the grand scheme of things, pretty simple. Taking the effort and time to paint all of your woodwork, that is much more of an effort. And that's another thing to consider when you're getting ready to repaint your walls. I mean, you get a good bang for your buck changing wall colors. However, if you change your wall colors and then you look at your trim and it looks all dingy, does it really make anything look better?
No.
Is the question.
Yeah.
So
the trim can make it from looking good to looking fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the moral of the story is plan ahead, bring in as many tile, carpet samples, fabrics that you have. Go shopping, go look at furniture, go look at rugs, go look at fabrics, and then decide on paint. Don't just come in, buy a gallon of paint, get it home, and be upset because you don't like the color.
Right. And also, it sounds like a ploy from paint manufacturers across the globe. But we do sell those little samples.
Yeah.
Those little samples save you a huge heartache down the road because, once again, we can't emulate the lighting, the flooring, the woodwork that you have at your house here.
The truest test.
The truest test is to buy one of those little samples, take it home, and put it on the wall and see it in your lighting.
Right. And now another thing, and this might be on our next show. I don't know if I should do that. I had a woman in today. She had a red wall and she was testing colors on it. And that is probably red and yellow are the worst colors to test your wall color on, your new color. If you have any leftover primer, if you have any leftover white ceiling paint, paint a big area on the wall, especially next to the trim so you can see what it's going to look like, and judge it with a white background. She was putting it on a red wall, and you can't judge the color.
It's hard to make a good judgment on it.
When you've got red next to it.
It's hard to see the actual color. when
Right,
you have
it is.
Everything else around it.
It was looking so much more blue and so lighter, and so that's another tip. So thanks for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
I wanted to say that Purple Beige, that's one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. Purple Beige, up through my mind.
Welcome back. Shit.
Well, just
How did you
welcome
mess
back.
that up?
Well,
Okay. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to pick a color, a paint color. I hate it.
you got plenty of battery left.
Okay, ready?
Go.
Okay.
Hooray! Okay, I got that out of the.
No bangles.
I got that out of the way.